Shalom Aleichem, we're learning the Sicha of Masei Beis. What an incredible Sicha, all about Eretz Yisrael and Bavel, and some of the stuff that Rebbe said when he originally shared this Sicha. It was two farbrengens, one after another, Yud Shvat and Shabbos Parshas B'Shalach, which I think was Tu B'Shvat, are incredible. So let's go into the learning, and I'm sure we're going to learn some amazing stuff. Okay, so let's start with the Sicha of Yud Shvat. The Rebbe was talking about Rabbanim, what they have to do and their role. Masei, Ika, etc. The Rebbe was talking about electing Rabbanim, etc. And the Rebbe then said, the Rebbe invited a bunch of Rabbanim to talk about Shleimus Haaretz and other things. And then the Rebbe says the Rav of the shul over here will also give a psak din. And Zalman Shimon Dvarkin spoke, and the Rebbe said, because the first thing of awesomeness Tziburis that the Fidik Rebbe was involved in was being menal the Tomchei Tmimim, and there are some Rashi Yeshivas of Tomchei Tmimim, so they should also give a psak din, etc. So the Rivkin, the Karski, the Mentlik spoke, and other Rabbanim, etc. And they counted 72 Rabbanim. And the Rebbe said, apologizing for those who didn't have an opportunity to speak, but I'm sure their intentions are pure, etc. The Rebbe then asked for a big farbrengen. Give me a moment. Yeah, basically what the Rebbe wanted is there's 70 and 72 Rabbanim, which is like a Sanhedrin, and corresponding to 70 nations, etc. So they're going to make a psak din that Eretz Yisrael is ours, then it's going to change things. The Rebbe spoke about it. He says there are some Rabbanim and Rashi Yeshivas that leave over their people, because we're talking about Rabbanim in Eretz Yisrael. So they leave their flock in Chutz La'aretz and they run to Eretz HaKodesh. And as we spoke a few times about the incredible achrayus, and I don't want to talk sharfa l'shonos, harsh expressions that it says regarding things like that when you desert your people. And we see the living example from the Fidik Rebbe. They had the opportunity to leave Russia many years prior to the Meiser Gula. And he knew that was Sakanas Nefashis for his family and the students. But nevertheless, he didn't leave till they forced him to leave through the whole story of the Meiser. And there was Ashkacha Pratis on various things that they managed to get him over the border, etc. And things were much, much worse by the time he left. So over here you see that Aliya of shepherd cannot leave his flock in a desert, in a place that's not fully grown. In other words, a place that's not fully good. Even if it's only a suffix, how much more so when there are places there's already intermarriage or other terrible sins, and even things that are not the terrible sins, kalash abakalas. So therefore, is a chayv kadosh nachiyuv gomer that you cannot leave your place, like the Gemara says. Lei Allah ezdam yibavel at shasag esos nikir. This is an incredible Gemara in Kiddushin. Ezra, who built the second Masei Mikdash together with Nehemiah, did not allow himself to leave Bavel and make Aliya until he made it literally like pure white flour. In other words, he made sure Bavel was taken care of. When Eresh Demet, only then did he go up in Eretz Yisrael. Regarding regular people, everyone has their own reason whether to go or not to go, and he has to ask a Chacham Shabbat if he should make Aliya, if he should go to Eretz Yisrael. Tell him, share with him all the things that you're doing for your city and the value you're adding, etc. And then we can make a decision. Because once you leave, you're not able to have the same impact, and therefore you need to ask your sage if to go in Eretz Yisrael. But for a Chacham and a Manik and a Dash Yeshiva, there's nothing to ask, because you see B'Poil, what happens with the Kehillas and the groups of people that their spiritual leaders left their flock and ran to Eretz Yisrael. We cannot talk about this terrible thing. But there are times that a certain community goes to Eretz Yisrael forever or for a certain amount of time, etc. We see that groups were sent up, and there's also the idea of being mechazik, strengthening the physical situation over there, because it's like the Fiqh Rebbe said, the gashmis of a second year has to be duchnius for you. How much more so when it's Eretz Yisrael, that the land itself is holy. So regarding the custom of being a siyam maseches, it's Yud Shvat, the Fiqh Rebbe's outside. So we should talk about, based on all the topics we talked about, we should talk about the love of Eretz Yisrael and the incredible thing about going up Aliya to Eretz Yisrael, and at the same time, the incredible chavivs of working within Chutz La'aretz and Bavel, so much so that Kol Ha'olam Bavel over Masei. So therefore, based on all this, we're going to make a siyum. Make a siyum am Maseches Ksuvos and the Rambam in its context. After that, the Rebbe said this is all in continuation to the fact that the special group of Chassidim that are traveling Mishalayim with HaKodesh, Rebbe sent that time shluchim till today. The shluchim Eretz HaKodesh, some moved to Yerushalayim and some moved to Tzfas, and should be Aliya, B'duchnis, Gashmis, etc. And nothing should be lost through their Aliya, but on the contrary, they should be able to bring chizuk, etc. So that was farbrengen of Yud Shvat. Then the Rebbe went on to continue talking about it on that Shabbos, Tu B'Shvat, and the Rebbe said, "V'hi Avtzon," after finishing it all, because kol ha'osek b'Torah chatos ki'ilu hikriv chatos. So, because we spoke about the Maila of Eretz Yisrael and the idea of transforming Bavel into Eretz Yisrael, so through that, is durch dem was mis oisig in the meaning tut sich auf der Shleimus. So you literally accomplish it, just like by Karbanis, you accomplish something entirely. If you learn about Chatos, it's as if you brought up Chatos. So we spoke about this. It's as if we literally brought up all the milos of Eretz Yisrael, etc. And that's what the Gemara says. If somebody writes on his note that when Beis HaMikdash comes, I'm going to bring a healthy animal for a carbon Chatos. Was lechuda zetmen doch davon as der Indian von Keilu hiktiv welche tut sich durch dem was is eisig terchas nibbeschleimus. It says Keilu, doesn't say as if it's the same thing. But that's only that was only in the time when it's not so when Mashiach comes, then you're gonna have to actually bring the carbon. But in the time of Galus, before the Beis HaMikdash was built, so it's taka done b'shleimus, and it's fully accomplished. And so therefore, the fact that we're talking about Torah Chatos and Zman HaGalus, so it's like as if we're fully accomplishing it. And the Rebbe said like this, very interesting. The Rebbe says, we see in Hilchos Talmud Torah that forgetfulness is only shaykh by Kisei HaKavod and up to that level, but not higher than Kisei HaKavod. So, because when you study Torah's Oila, it's literally as if you brought an Oila. So that accomplishes that you don't have the Sicha and negative carbon. Because Sicha is shaykh only lower than Atzilus, and we just said that's as if you brought a carbon Oila, you literally went directly to the Eibishter. So it means you're uplifted to the level high of Atzilus, that there's no forgetfulness. And because you're uplifted to the level of forgetful of Atzilus, so that means that you will literally be able to you'll be able to bring a carbon when Mashiach comes. I want to share one more point that Rebbe said, which is not so connected to Sicha, but it's fascinating, and I don't think we'll ever learn it in a different context. Rebbe says we spoke about that a Yid gets uplifted to the level of Atzilus. Is the Nacha Einit, so there's another idea that's connected to it, and that is what the Fiqh Rebbe says, that when someone gets an Aliya, L'Torah, but she gets an Aliya, an Elam Haza, so it's an Aliya in all the levels of the Neshama, the 5 levels. And each one of the 5 levels gets uplifted even higher, so much, biz as Yechida, that the Yechida goes up in the Elam Ein Sof higher than Atzilus. Now that was said regarding Aliya L'Torah. And we know that the diuk, the things that pointed out, why is it dafka Aliya L'Torah and not other things of Torah mitzvahs? Because An Aliya l'Torah is even an Amma Aretz can make a Birchas HaTorah, even if he doesn't know what he's saying. Das heißt, this means that even a Yid that he knows that as Vibal by him is because he has a Simcha, as a Bar Mitzvah, his son has a Bar Mitzvah, he's going to get an Aliya. And he didn't learn the psukim that he's going to learn by his Aliya. So this he Pashut knows nothing. When the Yid is staying in that Ma'abed Matzah, when he gets an Aliya l'Torah, that accomplishes an incredible Aliya in all his levels of neshama. How much more so in not only in Yechida, but in Chaya, which is in Eilam Atzilus, and Neshama Eilam Abriya, which is the Kisei HaKavod, and Ruach of Yitzira, and Nefesh and Asiya. So you could see that the fact that a Yid, all 5 of his levels is uplifted. Even if he knows nothing, you see the incredible mile of a Yid. So according to this, it's no surprise that a Yid could transform the whole world through their Pola. Because how much, if a Yid can make a shtudim in the Eilam Saint Seif L'Mayla Matzila simply by getting an Aliya, how much more so he could transform this world. So from here you see one thought, one action, one word can change the world. I just thought this is incredible, especially as a rabbi in the shul, and sitting with people figuring out what aliyahs they're getting for their grandson's bar mitzvah. Gives you a whole different appreciation, first of all, of getting an aliyah, and of a yid, most importantly. L'chaim al shalom.